Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed by life? As if the weight of your worries is crushing your chest and every solution slips further from your grasp? That feeling, that relentless pressure, can leave you exhausted, frustrated, and desperate for relief. You try to control everything, to plan, to strategize, to force answers, yet the harder you push, the more elusive peace becomes. What if I told you there is a different way, a path that does not demand strength, skill, or endless struggle, but instead asks only that you release, trust, and surrender? Imagine letting go of the constant mental tension, the sleepless nights, the gnawing anxiety that keeps you awake and on edge. Imagine experiencing a calm so profound that it does not depend on circumstances, a peace that carries you through life's storms without shaking. That path exists, and it has been waiting for you through the simple, powerful practice of prayer and the Rosary. The moment you allow yourself to surrender, truly surrender, you open the door to a strength far greater than your own, a clarity your mind alone cannot produce, and a freedom your control never provided. Each beat of the Rosary becomes a step in a sacred rhythm, a steady pulse that guides you out of chaos and into alignment with something bigger than yourself. You begin to feel what it means to release, not to give up, but to gain. To surrender is not weakness, it is courage. It is the bravery to admit that you cannot carry everything alone and to trust that the universe, God, or divine wisdom is holding your life together in ways you cannot yet see. When you commit to this practice, your mind begins to calm, your body begins to relax, and your heart begins to experience the quiet reassurance that you are not fighting alone. There is a measurable shift in your energy, an invisible transformation that affects how you perceive challenges, how you respond to stress, and how you carry yourself each day. Fear begins to lose its grip. Doubt no longer dominates your thoughts. Even uncertainty feels lighter because you have stepped out of the illusion that you must control everything. Each repetition of the prayers strengthens trust, rewires your perspective, and trains your soul to accept life's flow rather than resist it. And the most profound reward is this: as you surrender, as you practice with intention, life begins to respond. Opportunities appear that you could not have planned. Peace fills the spaces anxiety once occupied. Strength arises where you once felt helpless. Your heart grows resilient, your mind grows clear, and your spirit awakens to the quiet yet undeniable presence that is guiding every step. If you stay with this journey, if you allow yourself to engage fully with the rhythm and surrender of the Rosary, you will discover something extraordinary. The power to transform not just your day, but your life. You will uncover a strength beyond control, a peace beyond circumstance, and a freedom that is yours to embrace every single moment. Have you ever noticed how your mind races, how thoughts pile up, each one demanding attention, each one insisting on an immediate solution? That constant noise leaves you exhausted, scattered, and trapped in cycles of anxiety you cannot escape. Your body reacts before your mind even registers it. Muscles tense, heart pounds, breath shortens, and yet you keep pushing, believing control is the key to peace. What if there is another way? What if the very act of slowing down, of focusing deliberately, could release the grip of fear and overwhelm that has held you hostage for so long? When you engage in the practice of the Rosary, your mind enters a different state, a space where repetition, rhythm, and intention converge to create clarity and calm. Each bead is not just a marker of prayer, it is an anchor, a tactile reminder to return to presence, to step out of mental chaos and into quiet alignment. The science behind this is profound, structured, repetitive. Prayer or meditation strengthens neural pathways that regulate focus, emotional resilience, and stress. Your brain begins to recognize patterns of calm, your nervous system signals safety, and your body relaxes even as your mind engages. The act of moving your fingers along the beads, speaking prayers intentionally, creates a rhythm that mirrors natural bodily cycles, helping your heart and breath synchronize, helping your thoughts settle. But it is not only the mind that benefits. Your heart, weary from worry, begins to experience a subtle release. Each repetition of the prayers allows a fragment of fear, doubt, or tension to slip away. You do not need to force peace. You simply allow it to enter as you engage fully, as you commit to the rhythm, as you surrender to the practice. Over time, this repetition reshapes not only your mental patterns, but your emotional and spiritual responses. Challenges that once provoked panic or despair begin to feel manageable. Decisions that once felt overwhelming emerge with clarity. Opportunities appear not because the world has changed, but because your perception has shifted. Your nervous system, your mind, and your soul begin to align with the steady pulse of trust, with the underlying rhythm of surrender. You start noticing subtleties you missed before, the gentle guidance, the signs of support, the quiet reassurance that you are not alone. And in this alignment, a profound transformation begins. You feel less reactive, more present, more capable of navigating life with a calm confidence you once thought impossible. Your energy becomes steadier, your perspective sharper, your heart lighter. The Rosary trains not just your mind, but your entire being to respond from faith instead of fear, from trust instead of doubt, from surrender instead of control. What begins as a simple practice of repeated prayers becomes a powerful, life-altering tool, a mechanism to reclaim your focus, your peace, and your strength. It shows you that the clarity and calm you crave are not distant or unattainable. They are built bead by bead, moment by moment, as you choose presence over chaos, rhythm over rush, and trust over fear. Have you ever realized how much of your life is spent trying to control what cannot be controlled? How every plan, every expectation, every effort to force outcomes leaves you exhausted, frustrated, and empty? Control feels necessary because fear whispers that without it, everything will collapse, that chaos will consume you, and yet the truth is that control only deepens your anxiety. The Rosary offers a radical alternative. It teaches that surrender is not defeat, but the greatest act of courage you can give yourself. When you release the need to orchestrate every moment, when you allow your worries, doubts, and fears to rest in the hands of something far greater, you step into freedom. Each prayer, each bead becomes a deliberate act of trust. You are telling yourself and the universe, I cannot do this alone, but I am willing to be carried. This willingness changes everything. The mind that once clung to outcomes begins to soften. The heart that once raced with fear begins to steady. The body that once carried tension begins to release. Every repetition of the prayers reinforces a new pattern. The recognition that surrender is not passive, it is intentional. It is power manifested through faith. As this practice deepens, your perspective begins to shift. Challenges do not vanish, but their weight feels lighter. You no longer react impulsively to fear, but respond from a grounded center. Decisions become clearer, not because you force clarity, but because surrender opens your awareness to guidance you could not see before. Emotional resilience strengthens. You learn to move through disappointment without losing your balance, to face uncertainty without panic, to confront hardship without despair. This is the transformative paradox of prayer. The more you release control, the more able you become. The more you surrender, the more aligned your life feels. You begin to notice patterns that were invisible before, moments of grace in ordinary days, opportunities appearing in subtle, unexpected ways. Your mind, heart, and soul begin to resonate with a rhythm beyond your own making, a rhythm that quiets anxiety, amplifies hope, and reinforces trust. Even when life seems chaotic, there is an unshakable center forming within you, a place of peace that cannot be disturbed by circumstance. The act of surrender becomes a source of strength, not a sign of weakness. Your energy is no longer scattered in futile attempts to manage outcomes. It is focused, intentional, and purposeful. You discover that by letting go, you are not losing anything. You are gaining clarity, resilience, and a deep connection to a force greater than yourself. The Rosary transforms from ritual to lifeline, from repetition to realignment, from prayer to empowerment. It teaches that surrender is the ultimate act of faith, and that in surrendering you reclaim not just your peace, but your power, your clarity, and the ability to live fully without the burden of trying to control what was never yours to control. Have you ever felt that despite your best efforts, life still overwhelms you, leaving your mind spinning and your heart heavy? That constant tension, the pressure to do, to fix, to achieve, can make you forget the simplest truth: transformation does not come from struggle alone. It comes from rhythm, focus, and deliberate surrender. The Rosary provides that rhythm. Each bead, each prayer, each deliberate movement is not just repetition, it is a training of your entire being. Your mind begins to recognize patterns of calm, your nervous system begins to signal safety, and your heart gradually releases the grip of fear it has been holding for so long. In these moments, your focus sharpens, your awareness expands, and a sense of order emerges from the chaos that once dominated your life. The steady cadence of prayer becomes more than ritual. It becomes a framework for transformation. Every word you speak, every beat you touch, strengthens your ability to remain present, to respond rather than react, to trust rather than resist. This rhythm teaches patience in a world obsessed with speed, stability in a world filled with uncertainty, and trust in a reality where control is often an illusion. As you continue this practice, the effects ripple outward. Your perception shifts. What once felt insurmountable becomes manageable. Problems do not disappear, but their power over your emotions diminishes. Your heart grows resilient, your mind grows disciplined, and your spirit grows attuned to guidance that is subtle, consistent, and profound. This is the hidden power of prayer in the Rosary. It rewires not just thought, but response. Anxiety loosens its grip. Tension unwinds from your body, and clarity emerges in ways that feel almost miraculous. You begin to recognize that the obstacles you face are not walls to batter against, but lessons to navigate. And each prayer becomes a compass, guiding your choices with precision born of calm awareness. The longer you engage, the more automatic this alignment becomes. Your inner state begins to influence your external world. Relationships improve as patience and understanding deepen. Decisions are made with confidence rather than fear. Opportunities appear with timing you could not predict, and your life starts to move in concert with a rhythm larger than your own. The Rosary does not demand perfection, it demands presence. It does not promise immediate solutions, it promises transformation over time. And the reward is undeniable. A life lived with clarity, a heart anchored in peace, a spirit strengthened through surrender. By embracing this rhythm, you are learning to operate from your center, to navigate life with focus and courage, and to allow the unseen forces of guidance to shape your path. The prayers, the beads, the rhythm, they're not just actions. They are catalysts for a profound inner shift. Through this consistent practice, your mind, heart, and soul begin to harmonize, producing a strength that is quiet, unshakable, and transformative. This is the power of deliberate, focused prayer. And this is what unfolds when you commit to the Rosary, with intention, presence, and surrender. Have you ever sensed that your heart is carrying more than it was ever meant to hold? That pain, regret, and frustration are weighing you down in ways that no effort or logic can resolve? Emotional burdens accumulate silently, shaping your thoughts, dictating your reactions, and limiting your capacity to experience peace. The practice of the Rosary offers a path to release this weight, a way to transform pain into clarity, sorrow into resilience, and fear into trust. Each prayer, each bead, becomes a tool for emotional alignment, a deliberate act that allows the heart to breathe, the mind to settle, and the soul to reconnect with its natural state of balance. The act of surrender within this rhythm creates openings in your inner landscape, spaces where forgiveness, acceptance, and grace can take root. Your body responds as well as your mind. Muscles loosen, tension unwinds, breath deepens, and a sense of calm spreads through every fiber of your being. The Rosary teaches that healing does not require force, only attention and presence. By dedicating these moments to prayer, you allow emotions that were previously ignored, suppressed, or resisted to surface and release naturally. The repetition of the prayers reinforces the process, embedding trust and resilience into your subconscious so that when challenges arise, your responses are measured, your perspective is grounded, and your decisions are clear. Emotional wounds do not vanish instantly, but over time, you notice a shift. Irritations that once consumed your energy now pass without lasting impact, anxieties that once dominated. Your thoughts begin to ebb and a new steadiness emerges, subtle but undeniable. The heart that was once heavy with unresolved tension begins to feel lighter, freer, and more open to joy. Each session of the Rosary becomes an act of self-restoration, a deliberate investment in emotional strength, and a powerful affirmation that surrendering through prayer is not an escape, it is a reclamation of your power. The practice shapes your inner world so profoundly that external circumstances begin to align with this new inner stability. Challenges still appear, but you meet them with courage rather than panic. Disappointments still occur, but they no longer define you or dictate your emotional state. Peace becomes the baseline from which all experiences are filtered. Your life becomes a reflection of the internal harmony cultivated through this consistent, intentional practice. The Rosary transforms from a spiritual exercise into a vehicle for emotional mastery, a sacred structure through which your heart learns to release, your mind learns to trust, and your soul learns to embrace grace in every situation. Through this process, you experience the deep reward of surrender, healing, resilience, clarity, and the profound sense that you are supported, guided, and capable of navigating life with a strength that cannot be shaken. Each prayer is an invitation to release, each repetition a step toward liberation, and every moment of presence an opportunity to transform your emotional world. This is the power of devotion, the profound effect of surrender, and the life-altering impact of allowing your heart to be restored through prayer. Have you ever realized that the way you live each day is a reflection of what you hold in your heart and mind? Every thought, every choice, every moment of presence or distraction shapes the reality you experience. The power of the Rosary lies not only in quieting the mind or releasing fear, but in teaching you to live intentionally, to align our actions with a higher purpose, and to move through life with clarity, strength, and trust. Each bead is more than a prayer. It is a commitment, a deliberate step toward cultivating a life rooted in focus, surrender, and spiritual alignment. As you move through the rhythm of the prayers, your mind begins to internalize patterns of calm and clarity. Your emotions begin to stabilize, and your spirit grows resilient to the turbulence that life inevitably brings. The practice trains you to respond rather than react, to act from faith rather than panic, and to trust even when outcomes are uncertain. This alignment transforms not only your inner world, but the way you experience the external world. Challenges that once seemed overwhelming become manageable. Stress that once dominated your thoughts loses its grip, and opportunities appear with clarity and timing you could not have predicted. The Rosary is a bridge between intention and manifestation, a tool that rewires your mind and heart to recognize and act in accordance with truth rather than illusion. Each repetition strengthens neural pathways that enhance focus, emotional regulation, and resilience, while the spiritual act of surrender creates an opening for guidance, insight, and grace. Over time, this combination of discipline and devotion produces a profound transformation. Your mind sharpens, your heart steadies, and your spirit becomes attuned to the subtle currents of support and opportunity that flow through life when you are aligned with them. You begin to understand that life is not a battle to control, but a rhythm to harmonize with. Every challenge, every setback, every moment of uncertainty becomes an opportunity to practice presence, trust, and deliberate action. The strength you cultivate through this practice is quiet but unshakable. It allows you to navigate difficulties with composure, to make decisions with clarity, and to maintain peace in situations that once provoked fear. The Rosary teaches that surrender is not passive, that prayer is not idle repetition, and that alignment with a higher power produces tangible results in your daily life. Your thoughts, your choices, and your actions begin to mirror the internal clarity and trust you are cultivating, creating a life that feels purposeful, steady, and empowered. The repetition of prayer, the movement of beads, and the intentionality of your focus collectively transform your reality, providing a living demonstration of the power that emerges when you surrender, align, and commit. This is the essence of spiritual and personal mastery. Cultivating a life that responds to challenges with calm strength, that meets uncertainty with trust, and that unfolds with clarity, purpose, and the deep, unwavering peace that comes from living fully in harmony with the rhythm of faith and devotion